Hello, everyone, and it's Coffee here, and I'm just here to drop a quick podcast to talk about some of the socioeconomic and political issues that we've been facing and discuss some of the thoughts I am having around the world currently. So, let's start off with celebrity gossip, a genre that I really hate, but I'm trying to look at the feminist angle of this all. And I want to talk about specifically the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation. So, basically, for the uninitiated, they are both in court for some reason. Honestly, I don't care enough. But they are both in court, and there's this entire social media agenda to make Amber Heard look like this villainous Jezebel that abused Johnny Depp, a man almost twice her age, and how she deserves to suffer, and how we should be balanced with women who also are physically violent against men. Well, I don't care about balance. If a woman puts her hands on a man, I really don't care. Like Loki, even if she was the complete aggressor and he was just the victim, honestly, for the amount of violence that women receive on a daily basis globally, whether it's female genital mutilation, child marriage, I really don't care that Amber Heard put her hands on a man twice her age with significantly more social and financial capital than she does. And that's generally it. And I also think there is something that's happening in the media where women really want to be fair. We want to be fair and balanced and say, even if you're a woman and you commit violence against a man, that we will support the man because we generally are against violence. That's a lie. Like, the women, you do not need to be balanced and fair. The amount of violence you receive is not balanced and fair. You don't need to be balanced and fair when it comes to Amber Heard. Also, in one of my previous videos, I talk about how pretty privilege is a myth, and you can see in Amber Heard's situation how pretty privilege ends up working against her, because the media is so ready to paint her as a Jezebel. She is this temptress that got this, I don't know, poor Johnny Depp, literally poor multi-millionaire, multi-movie franchise Johnny Depp, and deceived him and then abused him. And it's so much easier to paint her that way because she is a beautiful woman. So the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation, really there is nothing to it. Women, you do not have to be fair. The amount of violence you receive is not fair. If a woman put her hands on a man twice her age, what is he even doing with a woman half his age? This is the most ghetto ass conversation on earth, starring two rich people who honestly we shouldn't even be in their business because they got way more money than we have. So it's whatever. I could talk about the poor woman who had her pregnancy aborted by basically her baby daddy because he inserted abortion pills into her, and he basically was trying to drug her throughout her entire pregnancy. I could also talk about the man who stabbed his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend and her parents and her grandparents in their London family home. But I think women are radically aware of male violence. I don't think there's anything I can say, especially to the women who follow me, that will make them more woke or conscious of male violence. We know this already. We truly do. Is have women contended with what they're going to do about male violence? Are you going to keep the men around you but at bay? Are you going to not have them around you at all? I guess as women in this salon, how have you dealt with male violence? How have you tried to navigate around that issue? Because my solution is completely eliminate men from my life. I knew from an early age that when women receive violence, is most likely at the hands of somebody they knew personally, so a boyfriend or a husband or a father. So I knew for me the best way to get my safety was to completely avoid men. For the women in this salon, how have you dealt with the fact that you are a woman in a world structured around male violence, and how are you trying to handle that violence? I actually know a topic I really want to talk about, and the topic I really want to discuss is the idea of bad women. So, whenever women discuss the issue of feminism, you can come at it from different approaches, but it's essentially an ideological framework that helps alleviate the suffering of most or a large majority of women. It's basically a way in which women can ensure that they have a better life. And even if you are a conservative woman, a liberal woman, a tall woman, a short woman, a black or white one, trans is not a woman, trans is a man, but if you're a woman, adult human female, that feminism should provide you some form of protection, legal, physical, mental, social, political protection. However, have we contended with the idea that there are some women whose feminism is predicated on being bad women? Let me explain. A good example would be a woman like Wendy Williams. This woman, while she was on the radio, dominated daytime talk. This woman grew up middle class in New Jersey and made a way for herself, holding her daytime spot and achieving a level of success that I don't even think she could have imagined. This is not to discount this woman's flaws, but to highlight the fact that Wendy's empire is built on being mean, is built on highlighting celebrity flaws. It is built on her asking Whitney, "Do you do crack?" It is built on her being mean and saying mean things. And before we try to hold Wendy to some higher pinnacle of expectation, male empires are built on destroying other men. Like Facebook, Zuckerberg owns majority of voting rights at Facebook. That is his empire. The Twitter that we see today that Jack Dorsey used to lead, at least before Elon Musk came in, was him ousting the original Twitter creator and Twitter founder. The same thing can be said about Tesla. Tesla was not Elon Musk founding it. He literally sued the founders after investing a lot of money until he got the co-founder title. Even from the social network movie, you can see how Zuckerberg screwed out his co-founders in the process. And I use those examples because they were the large ones that we can all kind of research and look into. But literally, male dynasties and male socioeconomic power is built on individual men trying to aspire to more things. Are we expecting too much by anticipating that there will be no women like Wendy Williams? Or should we actually optimize for more Wendy Williams? And maybe Wendy's an extreme example because she built her celebrity career of being mean to women. And that's the fire behind celebrity gossip. But even Beyonce, the pinnacle of performance and excellence, stepped on the backs of the other Destiny's Children. Literally, people talk about, I don't know where I read it from, it's probably a long time ago, how Matthew Knowles used to make Kelly and Michelle tan so they could get darker, because in the black community, if you're lighter, you get more preferences. And Beyonce, they made her look as light as possible. She had the blonde hair. They made her lead. Like, Beyonce made sure to steal the limelight from Kelly and Michelle. And this does not undermine the fact that Beyonce works hard. It also does not undermine the fact that, like, even Wendy Williams, to do what she does as a middle-aged woman, she must have worked her ass off. But it's to understand that, like, feminism is either going to be built on collective action or individual responsibility. And honestly, women as a collective cannot organize in the way, scratch that. Maybe I should put it like this. Maybe optimizing for individual women might be the way to go. I don't know. I really don't know if we should aim for more female individual success, because if we have more Beyoncé's, Wendy Williams, more women starting companies, more women doing these things individually, even if they're not perfect, just like Hillary Clinton, people called her everything from reptilian human to war criminal. But if Hillary had entered and been the president of the United States, that would have allowed more women to come in, and better Hillarys, better women to come in. So something I've always thought about was this idea that we expect perfection from women, that we hold them to such a high ethical and moral framework. While for those women to actually succeed, they have to be unafraid to shake up some tables. They have to be unafraid to stir up some controversy. Another good example are the Kardashians. The Kardashians are the epitome of American self-actualization. This is a family consisted of 5 women that built themselves multiple empires spanning beauty, games, media. And they did so by modifying all aspects of their bodies to fit into a framework that allowed them to succeed in America. They did so through their ruthless ingenuity, through always making sure to be in the spotlight, through engineering controversy for themselves. And we can talk about all the ways the Kardashians have flawed this country, how they've created 1,000,001 eating disorders, but those women made a name for themselves. And the hope is that women that come after the Kardashians, that start their own careers because of the ways that have been paved for them, can be better. But I bring up the Kardashians because they are also bad feminists. They are literally the women who have caused a lot of eating disorders. They're women who have engineered the way in which people do BBLs. Literally, I remember a plastic surgeon talking about how people would come into his office asking for the Kardashian ass and all of that. But those women made a way for themselves. I think feminism acts good in theory, in certain contexts. But in practice, in the modern day West, maybe the best feminism would be individual self-actualization feminism. All right, I'm not sure. I'm just tossing ideas. I honestly don't know. Another good example of a bad feminist is the Call Her Daddy girls. These girls, just liberal feminists, just the worst. But honestly, that girl has milked how much money from Spotify? The Alexander Cooper, I think that's her name. She milked so much money from Spotify. Girl, make your money. And I'm not trying to push girl boss feminism, but I'm trying to underscore that sometimes the women you're trying to organize around don't have the same aspirations as you. And maybe if you're in a community like hopefully the one here, we can talk about radical feminism. We can talk about the problems we're facing and how we need certain types of feminism to push the agendas we have, like preventing female genital mutilation, child marriage, making sure women know that you're meant to get your money, making sure women know you're meant to get second passport to leave any form of domestic policy you don't like. But a lot of women aren't preoccupied with those problems. A lot of women are getting BBLs. A lot of women are dating broke men. They have far more problems than the problems we're dealing with. And how are you essentially meant to organize with such a woman? There are women who believe in the benevolent patriarch. How am I meant to organize around abortion rights with such women? So maybe the best thing a woman can do is, one, have a core ideological framework that she feels like is the best thing to push a female agenda. And instead of her trying to, I would say, convert everyone into that agenda, maybe exiting to a country where you're allowed to live liberally is your best option. I've always found an exit to be a very wonderful idea. This was an idea I learned about from Balajis Srinivasan. He's a prominent tech entrepreneur and investor. And he talks about how there are two ways that you can handle living in a country that you do not like. You can try to vote out a certain policy, certain leaders. But if you cannot vote out certain policies and leaders, an exit is actually the best thing you can do. One, if you leave that country, you give the people in that country more voting rights. And you actually tell the country that I am willing to leave this country because of how important this thing is to me. So I think maybe the next iteration of feminism would be individual, in a sense of it would be women individually analyzing what policies, socioeconomic and political, they want for themselves. And instead of lobbying and voting in a circumstance where you honestly cannot organize when there are so many people who have competing interests, you exit, where women actually build more of a utopia for themselves and push laws and agendas in places where we think we can get them passed. So what are some bad feminists that you know, or some bad women, for lack of a better word, women who have made their profits of doing things that do not work for the service of all women but have helped them? And how do you feel about the fact that there are bad feminists, and we have to deal with the fact that although these women want female empowerment, they want their own empowerment more? And if that means Beyonce got to sing another song about catering to her man, she's going to do it because she just loves it. This is her agenda. This is her ideology. This is her belief, even if it doesn't serve every woman. And with that in mind, if you've enjoyed this, please subscribe. I will have more content for the patrons, but I just wanted to put this out there and hear you people's takes on bad feminism, male violence, and Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, which honestly you shouldn't even care about because who gives a fuck if a woman lays her hands on some man. Have a lovely rest of your day. See you all later.